There is one Florence Scovel Shinn sentence that can rewire your entire financial life in 24 hours. And tonight, I am going to give you that exact sentence and show you precisely how it works. So let us start with the premise, as stated in Proverbs 23:7. For as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. This single verse contains the entire mechanism of manifestation compressed into 7 words. It does not say, as a man wishes, so is he. It does not say, as a man works, so is he. It says, as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. The inner thought, the deep belief held in the heart, becomes the outer reality, and Florence Scovel Shinn understood that this is why a single sentence, spoken with conviction and repeated until it sinks into the heart, can completely reshape a life, because the sentence you speak becomes the thought you think, and the thought you think in your heart becomes the person you are, and the person you are determines everything that flows to you. This is the law beneath all the other laws, and the one sentence I am about to give you is engineered to plant a new thought so deep in your heart that your entire reality must rearrange itself to match it. Let me give you that sentence right now, so speak it with me, even softly. I am wealthy now, in mind and in fact. The truth has rewritten me. My word is my wand. Speak it once more, and let it sink past your ears and into your heart. I am wealthy now in mind, and in fact, the truth has rewritten me. My word is my wand. Hold there for a moment. Feel how that sentence assumes the wealth as already true, not coming, not approaching, but already accomplished in mind, and therefore inevitable in fact. And what you just felt is the new thought beginning to take root. If those words moved something in you, scroll down to the comments right now and write "The truth has rewritten me." Your comment becomes the first planting of the new thought, and it joins the field of people rewiring their hearts tonight. Now let me give you the first piece, which is why a single sentence has the power to rewire a life when 1,000 scattered thoughts do not. Because this is the principle almost nobody understands about how the mind actually changes. Your subconscious mind is not changed by the volume of your thoughts. It is changed by the depth and the repetition of a single directed thought. Most people have thousands of thoughts a day, but they are scattered, contradictory, pulling in every direction. One moment they think abundance, the next moment they think lack, and the subconscious, receiving these contradictory signals, establishes nothing. It simply holds the old pattern, because no new pattern is being consistently impressed upon it. But when you take one sentence, one clear, directed statement of the reality you intend to establish, and you repeat it with feeling until it sinks past the critical mind and into the heart, you are doing something completely different. You are impressing a single coherent pattern upon the subconscious, over and over, until it accepts that pattern as the new truth. This is how all deep change happens, not through scattered effort, but through focused repetition of a single idea. Florence understood that the spoken word is the tool that does this impressing. The word spoken aloud carries more power than the thought alone, because it engages more of you. You hear it, you feel it in your body, you give it form, and the repeated spoken sentence drives the new thought deeper with each repetition until the heart accepts it, and once the heart accepts it, as he thinketh in his heart so is he, the outer reality must follow. This is why one sentence repeated faithfully outperforms 1,000 affirmations spoken once. Depth beats breadth. The single sentence driven deep rewrites the heart, while the scattered thoughts merely skim the surface. Let me make this concrete with something you can observe in your own experience. Think about a belief you hold so deeply that you never question it. Perhaps that the sun will rise tomorrow, or that you are the person reflected in the mirror. You do not affirm these things. You do not repeat them. They simply live in you as unquestioned truth. And because they live that deep, they shape your behavior completely without any effort on your part. Now think about how you have tried to manifest wealth. You have probably said 100 different affirmations, tried a dozen different methods, thought about abundance in 1,000 scattered ways, and none of it sank to the level of unquestioned truth. It all stayed on the surface, competing with your deeper belief in lack. And the deeper belief always wins, because it is deeper. This is the entire problem. You have been trying to overpower a deep belief with shallow thoughts, and it cannot be done. The only way to change a deep belief is to plant a new belief at the same depth, and the only way to plant a belief that deep is through the faithful repetition of a single sentence until it sinks past all the surface noise and takes root in the same soil where your old beliefs live. One sentence, repeated with feeling, day after day, is a drill that bores down through the surface chatter and plants the new truth in the deep ground of the heart. 100 scattered affirmations are like rain on concrete. They wet the surface and evaporate. But one sentence driven deep is like water finding a single crack and working its way down to the roots. Depth is everything, and depth comes only from focused repetition of one thing. And there is a reason your mind naturally scatters rather than focuses. The world is designed to fragment your attention. Every notification, every headline, every passing worry pulls your thought in a new direction. And a scattered mind is a mind that manifests nothing because it never holds a single intention long enough to impress it. This is why the discipline of returning to one sentence is so countercultural and so powerful. You are doing the one thing the fragmented world makes difficult, holding a single thought with such consistency that it can actually take root. In a sense, the one sentence is an act of rebellion against the scattering. It is you reclaiming the power to direct your own mind toward a single chosen reality instead of letting the world scatter it across 1,000 fears. And every time you return to the sentence, you are strengthening not just the specific thought of wealth, but your underlying capacity to focus your mind at all, which is the master skill beneath all manifestation. The person who can hold one thought faithfully can manifest anything, and the person whose mind scatters can manifest nothing. The one sentence trains the first capacity while planting the specific seed. The second piece is why the sentence must assume the wealth as already accomplished rather than coming, because the tense and the assumption inside the sentence determine everything about whether it rewires anything at all. Notice the exact construction of the sentence I gave you, I am wealthy now, in mind, and in fact, it does not say, I am becoming wealthy. It does not say, I will be wealthy. It says, I am wealthy now, present tense, already accomplished. And this is not wishful thinking. This is the precise mechanism by which the subconscious is reprogrammed. The subconscious does not respond to future promises. It responds to present assumptions. When you say, I will be wealthy, you are impressing upon the subconscious the thought that you are not wealthy now, that wealth is always in the future, and the subconscious faithfully keeps it in the future. But when you say, I am wealthy now, in mind and in fact, you are impressing the assumption that the wealth is already real, already accomplished, and the subconscious, which cannot distinguish between vividly assumed reality and physical reality, begins to rearrange your world to match the assumption. Florence taught that you must claim the thing as already done. You must think and speak from the end, from the place where the wealth already exists, not toward it as a distant goal. The sentence rewires you precisely because it forces your mind to assume the completed state. And once the mind assumes the completed state in the heart, the law of as he thinketh begins manifesting that state in fact. The assumption is the seed, and a seed planted in the heart grows whether or not you understand the mechanics of growth. And I want to give you a deeper understanding of why the present tense is not a trick but a spiritual law. When God revealed himself to Moses, the name given was I am, not I will be, not I am becoming, but I am, the eternal present. And Florence understood that whenever you say I am, you are speaking the creative name. You are invoking the same creative power that spoke the universe into being, and whatever you attach to I am, you create. When you say, I am broke, I am struggling, I am always behind, you are using the creative power of I am to create exactly those conditions. You are taking the holiest creative phrase and using it to manufacture your own lack. But when you say, I am wealthy now, in mind and in fact, you are turning that same creative power toward abundance. This is why the sentence begins with I am, because those two words are the most powerful creative words you can speak. They are the engine of creation itself, and most people unconsciously aim that engine at their fears all day long. I am so tired, I am so worried, I am never going to get ahead. Each one a small act of creation in the wrong direction. The one sentence redirects the engine. It takes I am and aims it at the completed reality of your wealth. And held faithfully, the creative power of I am does what it always does. It creates what follows it. The question was never whether I am creates. It always creates. The only question is what you attach to it. And tonight, you are learning to attach your abundance. Now, before I give you the remaining 4 pieces, I have to stop and tell you something directly, because everything I have just taught you about the one sentence points to a single practical problem that almost nobody solves on their own. The sentence only rewires you if you actually repeat it, every single day, with feeling, until it sinks into the heart. And the truth is that 1 repetition or 2 repetitions changes nothing. The old pattern was built over years, and it does not surrender to a single day of new thought. The rewiring requires faithful daily repetition until the new thought is driven deeper than the old one. And most people simply cannot sustain this on their own. They speak the sentence for a day or 2, they feel something stir, and then they forget. The busyness of life pulls them back into the old scattered thinking, and the new thought, never driven deep enough, fades. This is exactly the problem I built the Overflow Covenant to solve. It is a 21-day sequence where one short Florence Shinn decree lands in your inbox every single morning. You speak it before your day begins, before the old thinking takes over, and it drives the new thought a little deeper every single morning for 21 days straight, which is the span it takes for a new thought to sink past the critical mind and become the established pattern of the heart. You do not have to remember. You do not have to rely on willpower. The decree is simply there, waiting for you every morning, doing the daily impressing that rewires the subconscious. It is $27, 1 payment, no app to install, no platform to log into, just your inbox every morning for 21 mornings. And there is a 30-day full refund, so the risk is entirely mine. The link is in the description. It is called the Overflow Covenant. Begin it tonight, and let the first decree reach you tomorrow morning. Now let me give you the 3rd piece, which is what it means that the truth has rewritten you, and why this phrase is the most powerful part of the entire sentence. Because most people try to add a new belief on top of their old beliefs, and this never works. The old belief is still there underneath, quietly contradicting the new one. But the phrase, the truth has rewritten me, does something far more powerful. It does not add a new belief. It declares that the old belief has been erased and replaced. Florence understood that there is a difference between affirming over your lack and being rewritten beneath it. When you say the truth has rewritten me, you are invoking the principle that there is an absolute truth about you that exists independent of your circumstances, and that truth is your abundance, your divine inheritance, the completeness that was always yours. The lack you have experienced was never the truth. It was a false writing, a temporary distortion, an error that crept into the manuscript of your life. And the truth, the original and permanent reality of your abundance, has the power to rewrite that error completely. When you declare the truth has rewritten me, you are not pretending, you are not lying to yourself. You are aligning yourself with the deepest reality, the one that was true before the lack ever appeared, and remains true beneath it now. The lack was the lie, the abundance is the truth. And the truth always has the authority to overwrite the lie. This is why the phrase carries such force. It does not ask you to believe something new. It asks you to return to something that was always true and let it erase what was never true. And the moment you accept that the truth has rewritten you, the old pattern of lack loses its authority, because it was only ever a false writing, and a false writing cannot stand against the truth. Once the truth is declared, let me give you a way to truly feel this principle. Imagine you discovered that a clerk had made an error in the official record of your inheritance, writing that you were entitled to almost nothing, when in truth, the original will left you a vast fortune. You would not try to feel positive about the clerk's error. You would not affirm over it or make peace with it. You would simply produce the original document, the true one, and the error would be corrected. The false record never had any real authority. It was only a mistake. And the moment the truth was produced, the mistake was overwritten. This is exactly your situation with lack. The lack you have lived is the clerk's error, a false entry in the record of your life. But the original truth, written before the error ever appeared, declares your abundance, your completeness, your divine inheritance. And when you speak the truth has rewritten me, you are producing the original document. You are invoking the true record that overwrites the false one. The lack was never your real inheritance. It was a clerical error in consciousness, a mistaken belief that got written into your experience, and it has exactly as much authority as any error has once the truth is revealed, which is none. Florence taught that we are not trying to create abundance from nothing. We are trying to claim an abundance that was always ours, that already exists in truth, and has only been obscured by a false writing. The work is not creation, it is correction. It is returning to the original truth and letting it overwrite the error. And this is far easier than trying to manufacture wealth from a belief in lack, because you are not pushing against reality. You are aligning with the deepest reality. The truth was always on your side. It was only waiting to be claimed and spoken. And notice how this reframes the entire emotional experience of doing the work. When you believe you are trying to create wealth from nothing, every day without visible results feels like failure, like the wealth is refusing to come. And this discouragement is what makes people quit. But when you understand that you are simply claiming a truth that already exists, the waiting feels completely different. You are not failing to create something. You are waiting for an already existing truth to become visible. Like a photograph developing in a dark room, the image was always on the paper, fully formed. You are simply waiting for it to appear, and you do not stand over the developing photograph in despair, thinking it will never show. You know the image is there, and you let it develop in its own time. This is the patience of the one who knows the truth, has already rewritten them. They are not anxiously trying to force a result. They are calmly waiting for an accomplished truth to surface, and that calm is itself part of what allows it to surface, because the anxiety of trying to create is a vibration of lack, while the calm of claiming what already is a vibration of having, and the vibration of having is what draws the visible result. The fourth piece is why this rewiring happens in the heart and not merely in the head. And this is the distinction that separates people who affirm for years with no result from people who are genuinely transformed. You can hold a thought in your head indefinitely without it changing anything. The head is where doubt lives, where the critical analysis happens, where you can simultaneously affirm wealth and disbelieve it. But the heart is different. The heart is where conviction lives, where a thing is held as simply true beyond question. Proverbs does not say, "As a man thinketh in his head." It says, "As he thinketh in his heart." The manifestation flows from the heart, from the deep place of accepted conviction, not from the surface place of intellectual consideration. And the reason the spoken sentence repeated with feeling is so powerful is that feeling is the bridge from head to heart. A thought without feeling stays in the head, but a thought spoken with feeling, with the genuine emotion of already possessing the thing, drops down into the heart and takes root there. This is why Florence emphasized that the word must be spoken with conviction, with feeling, not mechanically recited. The feeling is what carries the sentence past the critical mind and plants it in the heart, where it can actually rewrite you. When you speak, "I am wealthy," now in mind. And in fact, you must feel the truth of it. You must let yourself experience, even for a moment, the settled calm of one who already has. And that feeling drives the sentence into the heart. And once it lives in the heart, as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. The outer life reorganizes to match. The head can hold a thought, but only the heart can manifest it. And the bridge between them is feeling. And let me show you how to tell the difference between a thought that is stuck in your head and a thought that has reached your heart. A thought in the head feels like effort. You have to keep reminding yourself of it. You have to argue with the doubt that rises against it. You say, "I am wealthy," and a voice immediately answers, but the bank account says otherwise. And you are caught in a tiring debate with yourself. This is the signature of a thought stuck in the head. But a thought that has reached the heart feels completely different. It feels like calm, like settled certainty, like quiet relief. When the thought of your wealth has reached your heart, you no longer argue with it, you simply rest in it. The way you rest in the knowledge that you are loved by someone who truly loves you. You do not constantly prove it to yourself. You simply know it. And that knowing brings peace rather than effort. This is the destination you are working toward. With the repeated sentence, you are not trying to win the argument in your head. You are trying to drop beneath the argument entirely into the heart where no argument exists. And the way you know you are succeeding is that the sentence begins to feel less like a claim you are making and more like a fact you are remembering. In the beginning, "I am wealthy," now feels like a stretch, a hopeful reach. But as the sentence sinks through repetition and feeling, it begins to feel natural, obvious, simply true. And when it feels simply true, when speaking it brings calm rather than effort, you will know it has reached your heart. And from the heart, "As he thinketh in his heart, so is he," the manifestation becomes inevitable. The head is the place of becoming convinced. The heart is the place of already knowing. And you are traveling from one to the other on the bridge of feeling, repetition by repetition, until the knowing replaces the convincing. And there is something worth understanding about why the heart, once it accepts a truth, manifests it so reliably. The heart is the seat of what you truly expect, not what you hope for or wish for, but what you genuinely expect at the deepest level. and life has a way of delivering to us what we truly expect. The person who deeply expects struggle finds struggle confirming itself everywhere. The person who deeply expects support finds support appearing in unexpected ways. This is not because the world is different for each of them. It is because expectation shapes both what we notice and what we draw toward us. When the sentence reaches your heart and becomes your genuine expectation, you begin to notice opportunities you would have missed. You begin to act with the quiet confidence of one who expects good, and that confidence changes how others respond to you. And slowly the world begins to confirm the new expectation, just as it once confirmed the old one. The heart that expects abundance moves through life in a completely different way than the heart that expects lack. And that different way of moving produces different results. So when you drive the sentence into your heart until it becomes your true expectation, you are changing the fundamental posture from which you meet all of life, and life responds to that posture. This is the deep machinery beneath. As he thinketh in his heart, so is he. The heart's expectation becomes the life's experience. The fifth piece is the exact daily protocol for driving this one sentence deep enough to rewire you, and the precision of the method matters enormously. The first repetition comes the moment you wake, before you open your eyes, before the old thinking has a chance to begin. You speak the sentence slowly with feeling. I am wealthy now in mind and in fact. The truth has rewritten me. My word is my wand. You let yourself feel the truth of it before you rise. This morning repetition sets the new thought as the foundation of your day, before the old patterns can reassert themselves. Then throughout the day, at the small moments of transition, when you finish one task and begin another, when you pour your coffee, when you pause at a doorway, you repeat the sentence once, quietly, just enough to keep the new thought active. You are not straining. You are simply returning to the sentence again and again, so it stays near the surface of your mind and continues sinking deeper. And the final repetition comes at night. As you lie in bed, drifting toward sleep, you speak the sentence one more time and let it be the last thought you carry into sleep. This is the most powerful repetition of all, because as you fall asleep, the critical mind dissolves, and the subconscious lies open and receptive, and whatever thought you carry across the threshold of sleep is impressed most deeply of all. So the morning repetition sets the foundation. The daytime repetitions keep the thought alive and sinking, and the night repetition drives it deepest into the open subconscious. This rhythm, morning, throughout the day, and night, repeated faithfully, is what drives the single sentence deep enough to rewrite the heart. And once the heart is rewritten, the manifestation is no longer something you are trying to force. It simply unfolds as the natural expression of who you have become. And I want to explain why the moment of falling asleep is so uniquely powerful. Because if you understand this, you will guard it carefully. All day long, your conscious mind stands guard at the door of your subconscious, filtering and arguing and doubting. So most of what you think never reaches the deep mind. It is turned away at the door by the critical guard. But as you drift towards sleep, that guard grows tired and steps away from the door. And for a few minutes, the subconscious lies completely open and unguarded. Whatever thought you are holding in those final waking moments walks straight through the open door and impresses itself deeply on the subconscious, which then works on it all night long while you sleep. This is why the last thought before sleep is the most powerful thought of your entire day, and most people waste it catastrophically. They fall asleep worrying about money, replaying their fears, rehearsing their lack, and they spend the entire night impressing lack deep into the open subconscious. Then they wake and wonder why nothing changes. You have a power every single night, the power to choose what walks through the open door. And when you speak the sentence as the last thing before sleep, I am wealthy now in mind, and in fact, the truth has rewritten me. My word is my wand. You send abundance through the open door to be worked upon all night. You turn the most powerful moment of your day toward your wealth instead of your fear. And this nightly impressing, repeated faithfully, gradually rewrites the deep mind while you sleep, so that you are quite literally being transformed in your sleep, night after night, by the single thought you choose to carry across the threshold. Guard that moment. It is one of the most valuable few minutes you possess, and what you do with it, night after night, shapes everything. And this three-part daily rhythm is precisely what the overflow covenant is built to guarantee. Because knowing the protocol and actually following it every single day are two completely different things. The decree arrives each morning to anchor the first repetition, and once you have spoken it at dawn, it stays with you through the daytime returns and into the night. The structure carries you through all three windows, morning, day, and night, without requiring you to remember or organize anything. This is the difference between knowing what to do and having a system that makes you do it. The sixth piece is the contrarian truth that you do not need many techniques. You need one sentence held with absolute faithfulness. And this inverts everything the manifestation world teaches. The manifestation world is constantly offering you more techniques, more methods, more rituals, more practices to add to your collection. And people accumulate dozens of techniques and master none of them. They are forever starting new methods and never driving any single one deep enough to work. But Florence understood that depth beats variety, that one sentence spoken faithfully every day for months will rewrite your life far more powerfully than 50 techniques sampled once and abandoned. The scattered approach fails because the subconscious is never given a consistent pattern long enough to accept it. But the faithful repetition of one sentence gives the subconscious exactly what it needs: a single coherent thought impressed so consistently that it must eventually be accepted as the new truth. This is why the people who actually transform their lives are usually not the ones with the most techniques. They are the ones with the most faithfulness to a single practice. They found one sentence, one truth, and they held it with such consistency that it could not help but rewrite them. The secret was never more methods. The secret was always deeper faithfulness to one. And the one sentence I gave you tonight is complete in itself. It contains the assumption of present wealth, the declaration of being rewritten by truth, and the claiming of your word as your wand. You do not need to add anything to it. You need only to hold it faithfully until it sinks into your heart and becomes who you are. And let me address the doubt that is probably rising in you right now. The doubt that says, how can one simple sentence possibly change my whole financial life? It seems too simple, too easy. Surely something this important requires something more complicated. And this very doubt is the thing that has kept you poor. Because the doubt sends you searching for complexity when the answer was always simplicity, held with faithfulness. Consider that the most powerful forces in nature are astonishingly simple and work through patient repetition. A single seed, planted and watered faithfully day after day, becomes a tree that can split stone. The seed did not need to be complicated. It needed to be planted and then faithfully tended. Water applied once does nothing, but water applied daily, the same simple act repeated, grows the mightiest tree. Your one sentence is the seed. Your daily repetition is the water. And the doubt that says this is too simple is the very thing that makes people dig up the seed every few days to check if it is growing, which of course kills it. The people who succeed are the ones who can trust the simple process enough to be faithful to it without constantly questioning it. They plant the one sentence and they water it every day without digging it up to inspect it. And in time it grows into a transformed life. The simplicity is not a weakness, it is the strength, because simplicity is what allows faithfulness. You could never be faithful to 50 complicated techniques, but you can be faithful to one simple sentence, and faithfulness to one simple thing is precisely what rewrites a life. So do not let the doubt about simplicity rob you. The simplicity is exactly why it works. Embrace the one sentence, hold it faithfully, water it daily, and refuse to dig it up, and it will grow. And consider the people throughout history who accomplished the seemingly impossible. They were almost never the most talented or the most resourced. They were the most persistent, the ones who held a single vision with such faithfulness that reality eventually yielded to it. The inventor who tried the same experiment 1,000 times, the writer who sent the manuscript to 100 publishers, the dreamer who held the vision through every discouragement until it manifested. In every case, the secret was not brilliance, it was faithfulness to one thing held longer than anyone else was willing to hold it. And you are being invited into that same secret, not to hold 50 things loosely, but to hold one thing with unbreakable faithfulness. The one sentence, spoken every morning, every day, every night, until your heart is rewritten and your world reorganizes to match. This is not the hard path. It is actually the easy path, because it asks only one thing of you: faithfulness to a single simple sentence. Anyone can do it. The only ones who fail are the ones who will not hold it long enough. Do not be one of those. Hold your sentence, water it daily, and let it grow into the life that was always meant to be yours. Here is the whole picture. There is one Florence Shinn sentence that can rewire your financial life, and it works, because as you think in your heart, so you are. The sentence plants a new thought of present, accomplished wealth so deep in your heart that your outer reality must rearrange to match it. It assumes the wealth as already true, rather than coming. It declares that the truth has overwritten the lie of lack. It drops from head to heart on the bridge of feeling, and it is driven deep through faithful daily repetition, morning, throughout the day, and at night, until the new thought becomes the established pattern of your heart. And once your heart is rewritten, the wealth manifests not as something you chase, but as the natural expression of who you have become. Every part of this is available to you starting tonight. The sentence has been given, the mechanism has been explained, and the only thing required is that you hold it faithfully. And I want to leave you with one final thought about what is truly at stake here. You have spent your whole life speaking words, and every one of them has been shaping your reality, whether you knew it or not. You have been an unconscious creator, accidentally building a life out of careless words, words of worry, words of lack, words of limitation, and your life has faithfully reflected those words back to you. But tonight, something changes. Tonight, you become a conscious creator. You take hold of the creative power that was always operating through your words, and you aim it deliberately at the life you actually want. The one sentence is your first act of conscious creation, the first time you use your word as a wand on purpose rather than by accident. And once you experience the power of directing your word deliberately, you will never again speak carelessly. You will understand that every word is a wand, that you are creating constantly, and that the only question is whether you create on purpose or by accident. The one sentence is where you begin to create on purpose. Hold it faithfully, and watch what your word can build when you finally aim it with intention. Before we close, I have to be direct with you one final time. The reason most people never rewire their lives is not that they lack the sentence, it is that they cannot sustain the faithful daily repetition on their own. They forget, they scatter, the old thinking wins. This is the entire reason the overflow covenant exists, to deliver a fresh Florence Shinn decree to your inbox every single morning for 21 days, so the daily repetition is guaranteed, so the new thought is driven deeper every dawn, so the rewriting actually completes. You can find it at the link in the description. 21 mornings, 1 decree each day, $27, 30-day full refund. So speak the sentence with me one final time before you go. I am wealthy now in mind, and in fact, the truth has rewritten me. My word is my wand. Hold that. And tonight as you fall asleep, let this be the last thought you carry across the threshold. And tomorrow morning, let it be the first. And let the first decree of the covenant reach you, and begin the rewriting that changes everything.